In this presentation, we'll examine the connection between emotional intelligence and how you react and make choices, your ethics, your values, and academic integrity. So when we're talking about the whole idea of integrity, we're really bringing together a lot of concepts here. We're talking about personal responsibility, the ability to think critically, and understanding the cause and effect, or your behavior and your emotion and the consequences that are a result of that, and the ideas of what you're willing to compromise on or not compromise on to get a result. In specific reference to academic integrity, it's really a matter of understanding what you're really here for. What are you getting out of your education? What's important to you? Are you really thinking about the idea of learning, and the reason you're being here is to become a better, more well-rounded person and a more educated person? Or is it to get grades and a diploma to get a job? Because when you have different motivational levels, your behavior will change accordingly as well. So it really boils down to your personal code of ethics or moral values and how highly you regard honesty and fairness. And so you may not think about fairness in terms of cheating because you think, well, it's just me, what's the big deal? But we'll examine that throughout. These are many concepts that you're probably familiar with when it comes to academic integrity. So things like plagiarism or cheating or borrowing somebody else's information, copying off of somebody else's paper. So these are the things that you're most familiar with, and it's something that you really do need to understand. There's a wide breadth of the idea of academic integrity. You really need to access your student handbook and read the Student Code of Conduct and understand the idea of the honor code, because if you don't understand that, you won't understand what you're being held accountable for and the expectations we have of you. In your own personal code of ethics, you have to really think about what's right, what's wrong, what you think is appropriate in terms of justice and how to make choices and decisions, and what you should do when you're faced with options and dilemmas and situations and circumstances. If you really can't think it through and follow it through, you might make some very poor decisions that can have lifelong consequences. I don't think that there are very many people out there that would say that cheating is right and appropriate. We've been raised in our culture, at least in the American culture, that cheating is not right. It's not something that you should do. You should be doing your own work and claiming your own credit for your own work. But that isn't necessarily true nowadays. If you Google cheating or academic integrity, you'll see that there's a huge proportion of students that are cheating and, quite honestly, don't think there's anything wrong with it. Or they look at it and say, well, this circumstance is worse than the other. Meanwhile, it's all cheating. So I want you to consider the idea of learning versus cheating and how it relates to academic integrity. You really should look up your academic integrity policy and the honor code and really understand the consequences and ramifications should you make the choice to indulge in one of those behaviors, whether it's plagiarism or cheating or whatever it might be. You really need to understand what those choices may result in. You really need to educate yourself on all of the resources available to assist you in avoiding the temptation of cheating and to ensure that you're not doing it unintentionally. So work with library services to learn how to do citations, the Writing Center to learn how not to plagiarize, the Academic Support Center to understand how to work with different software and how to retrieve different information appropriately, and Always work with your professors to have them help you interpret their assignments and their expectations. You should ask your professors any clarifying questions that help you understand not only assignments, but their personal classroom rules and regulations related to integrity or just how the class is run. Always remember that you're being held accountable to an honor code here at Daytona State College, and you should be submitting your work appropriately related to that honor code and know those regulations that bind you. Finally, it might sound preachy, but you really should just never cheat. You shouldn't plagiarize, misuse academic resources, falsify documents, or assist anyone in doing any of those feats or indulging in any of that behavior. You really want to uphold not only the college's values, but your own morals and ethics as well. A lot of times people don't realize what plagiarism is, or the fact that even if you accidentally or unintentionally plagiarize, it's still plagiarism. So whether you meant to do it or not, you're still being held accountable for it. So you really want to make sure, I really want to focus here on the accidental plagiarism, that you know how to cite. If you just don't know how to put an in-text citation in a paper or how to cite appropriately on a references or works cited page, that's a problem. That's a skill you need to acquire. Or if you still don't feel comfortable with it, you need to get your work proofed before you submit it. You need to know how to paraphrase or summarize, which is why that's an important skill that's highlighted in student success classes, is understanding the idea of changing things into your own personal understanding of a concept or an idea. Not just your own words. That's not enough. Just shifting a few words is not enough. You really also need to understand that using other people's work, even your own, recycling, is not appropriate. You really need to apply information to the current requirements, the current assignment, the current details, layout, etc. You might have written about that topic in the past, but you're being assigned now in a different context. So you can still use that information as a foundation, but you should be writing a whole new paper. So a couple examples here of cheating. Unfortunately, even when you're sharing with each other, you're not necessarily going to get the outcome that you're looking for. So really, do you want to take the risk knowing that the outcome might not be what you're looking for? Also, you want to look at it in terms of what are you doing? Is it really cheating? What's the definition? And again, you really need to understand that by looking at your honor code and realizing that it isn't just turning in somebody else's work, copying somebody's paper. It's using your phone in a class, or leaving the room and looking something up on your phone, or any other number of things that people have gotten creative with in terms of just not doing the work to demonstrate your own personal knowledge and understanding of a topic or subject. You also need to consider the bigger picture. When you make the choice to not use the idea of academic integrity and you indulge in cheating, you're affecting other people. This might seem extreme. I found this at the University of Arkansas and thought it really made the point. When you've cheated, that means you really haven't necessarily learned that information very well. And if you haven't learned it well, you're not going to be able to remember it when you need it. So even though you might not think math is important now, you might need it later. Even though you want to get an A on that test on Friday, so you cheat and try to get the best grade on your test on Friday, it's not going to help you when you need that information later when you graduate and get a job in the field. You don't want to be that guy who doesn't know what the big red meltdown light means, or not knowing the body parts when you're a surgeon, or okay, what do I need to put here for this wall? How am I going to make sure this building stays up? Or, okay, I didn't really pay attention when they taught me how to cut hair. Maybe she just won't notice. So these might be extreme and a little bit silly, but the reality is when you don't learn the information in a class or in a program of study, you're not going to be able to use it in the future. So you're not just affecting yourself by cheating on that test. You're cheating yourself of that knowledge, but you're also cheating those people that you're going to be working with in the future that are expecting you to have that knowledge and understanding. It's really important to understand that it's really not about getting your homework done. It's not about getting the grade on that test or the grade on your transcript for that course. It's really all about your learning. You're here because you want to improve yourself, you want to become a better, well-rounded person, a more educated person, and you want to learn skills for a field so that you can go out and get a meaningful job, a job that will help you pay your bills and give you some security as you go along in life. So you want to keep that in mind. Think about the long term, not the short term. You really are looking for the idea of being as successful as possible and gaining that knowledge and understanding, not just getting that grade on that assignment. And just remember, you have to put that effort in. You have to be motivated to want to learn, to want to understand, and to use that information in the best way possible in your future endeavors. So you can't be upset with yourself if you didn't put the work in and you don't get the good results. This should be a learning curve for you. If you take a test or do an assignment or submit a paper and you don't get a good grade, your first reaction shouldn't be, okay, next time I'm going to take the easy way out and I'm going to cheat or I'm going to use something else. That's your opportunity to say, I obviously didn't understand this very well, I didn't prepare, I didn't plan, so I need to change my methods, I need to change my strategies, I need to go get some help, I need to use better resources, I need to talk with my instructor, I need better time management so that I can submit the best work possible and really demonstrate that I know and understand this. So keep all of these things in mind in relation to emotional intelligence, critical thinking, academic integrity, and your own personal morals and ethics.